Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony. Welcome to the evening show. I'm your host, Tony.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the evening show with Some Random Guy Speaks. I am your host, Tony, and we are about to get started today, boy. I took off yesterday and things, but I'm back today, nice and fresh, doing another live stream, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, so we're gonna get into it and things though. So I get some stuff here. The best part about got a text message here. Best part about it says here the best part about right-wing girls, no penis. Yes, I do get some messages here though. But welcome to the chat though. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. All right. So other than that, though, you see, I got my other hat on. I left this hat in the car, though, but I rock it proud and I rock it well. I got a few of them. We're gonna be talking about what's going on in the news. I hope everybody, man, we winding down to Christmas, man. Ooh, man, the 25th of Christmas. It's gonna be, what is it, December the 25th? This Thursday, right? So hope you guys got all your shopping out the way. You got your Christmas list. Everything is taken care of. Checking your list, checking it twice. We're going to find out who's been naughty or nice, right? So we're going to go into it. So Congress demands a probe as 16 files allegedly disappeared from the DOJ Epstein release, man. Isn't that something? Man. I tell you guys, though, too, boy. So I'm looking at it right now on Ground News, though. This is what I rock with. Once again, I'm not sponsored by them, but you should look into Ground News as well. Because Ground News, what I like about it, it will let you know who gave the report. So a lot of journalists, we know today, there's usually either left or right. Here, it lets you know who's more in the center. How journalism used to be, remember? So yeah, so we're going to be talking about this as well, though. So it says here, by Saturday, at least 16 files vanished from the DOJ. Can you believe that? 16 files vanished from the DOJ public Epstein library less than a day after posting. I wonder what happened. What trips me out is like, I get on here and people be like, they're making a big deal about what's redacted in the files. But as soon as they released it, they went in there and took some missing files, right? 16 files, ladies and gentlemen, come up missing. Who knew? You know what I'm saying? So we already know what's going on, right? Because as I said, the Dems only wanted it to be released because they thought that Trump would be implicated with the Epstein thing. It was more or less about getting him and try to protect their other soldiers, but it backfired, right? So therefore, their soldiers are coming under scrutiny under this Epstein mess, right? And then, not surprising, 16 files were missing. Do you guys think of the 16 files? We're probably talking about some very, very important people, right? Because heaven forbids if this information ever get out to the day of light, you know what type of ruin that'll be, So nobody wants a PDF marked on their back as a target, right? But they don't have no problems making sure that Trump wear that title, right? PDF, man. So going in further, right? So including the photo label EFT A as in Apple 0000468, showing President Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, Melania Trump, and Ghislaine Maxwell, right? So on Friday, the DOJ posted documents under the Epstein Files Transparency Act that President Donald Trump signed at least a month, and the Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche said more files will be released on the coming weeks. Yeah, would you look at that? The DOJ numerically organized the Epstein library shows a skipped entry. Who would do such a thing, right? A skipped entry, right? With this particular file here, EF, you heard me mention this before, T, A as in Apple, 00000468, removed and the labeled photo unavailable by Saturday morning. Who would do such a thing, right? Lawmakers on the House Oversight Committee flagged the missing Trump image and demanded answers from the DOJ, right? While Ro Khanna, the Democrat of California, and the Representative Thomas Massey, Republican of Kentucky, explored impeachment or contempt proceedings. And the Department of Justice spokesperson did not immediately respond to the request for the comment, right? Survivors and their lawyers blast the incomplete release and demanded accountability, noting many of the 13,000 documents were heavily reacted, right? Redacted, right? So with Gloria Alfred and Spencer Coven calling for the full transparency. Guys, do you guys really think we're going to see the full transparency? Because we know there was a lot of powerful people. They will say, oh, Trump is a powerful people. No, there's some powerful people, man. And the stuff that's been redacted, and I've been known that they were going to do this. What took so long for the files to be released? Because they had to go into all those files, protect the victims, ladies and gentlemen. We got to start thinking up here, right? This is the reason why. And I'm glad that Pam Bondi did hold off by releasing those files, because if they would have released them sooner, a lot of the people that were redacted that the FBI was protecting for privacy, these are minors, these are children. So that would have been really bad for victims, right? So that's basically what ended up happening there, in regards to this story. So again, I'm getting this from ground news though. So there's no surprising with all of us, regards to this thing happening. Because like we said before though, there are some powerful people. You got people in that government. They don't want this stuff to come out of regards to these, what we call like the photos and everything though. And they were doing some pretty foul stuff. We can already know what's been going on. So full transparency, not when the victims are underage. That it's not going to happen, But these other people, those files of the most important people were taken. Now, the thing about it is they can demand all they want. You think they're going to get it back? No. You know what I'm saying? I mean, really, ladies and gentlemen, we're just calling foul here, man. We got to start seeing some wins on here on this situation, though, That's the thing. We got to start seeing some wins, man. We got to start seeing some wins, man, on this thing, though, too. And I say it again, with Trump in this administration, the reason we ain't seen any arrests, and I'm going to say it again, Trump does not have enough of his people when it come down to the courts, with the judges and everything. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the things. They've been stonewalling, blocking, just the people are not certified, and things. He got like 80 some odd people to get in there, and they're gonna stonewall them all the way up into the midterms. This is why he was saying if we got rid of the filibuster, he can get his people in there and make some things happen. Because I believe it ain't gonna just stay gone. He can always get it back in there. But if the Dems win this midterm, what's gonna end up happening. They're going to remove that filibuster. And a lot of you guys are going to be crying. I don't want to hear no bitching about it. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear anything about I told you so, because we know that's what they're going to do. They never been about the Constitution. They always been setting up the rules. Look at this gerrymandering, redistricting. All that stuff came from the Dems, the Democrats, right? Right? This is nobody crowd foul. This is one of the reasons why they were winning in these districts and stuff like that. What they did was totally illegal, but they got away with it because guys are starting to understand the deep state is huge. It ain't something that you could just cure overnight, you know? Not in Trump's term, no. And some of you guys that used to be MAGA, shame on you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why I say, man, these panicking, they're freaking out. Some of these guys, they're talking the wrong things, you know what I'm saying? And I knew that Dan Bongino was gonna quit. And the reason that I say he was gonna quit, as I said before, I'm gonna say it again. When you make it over $1 million, $1 million plus and up, you have a pretty comfortable lifestyle. Before Dan Bongino took that position with the FBI, right? He took a hell of a pay cut, right? He put himself out there on the line, right? He actually made himself a target. You see how spooked out he is and stuff like that? He is mentally, Dan Bongino saw things, in my opinion, I think he saw things that most people would be throwing up. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the PDFs. You know what I mean? That's traumatizing right there. And like I said, I'm not mad at Bongino for leaving, because like I said before, you got to have a special mind for this type of stuff. You really do. And right now, he got his wife. She's complaining, I'm sure, because you know how women are, man. When women, too, you got a family, man, they're used to accustomed to a certain lifestyle, right? You remember a lot of you guys that are married, happy wife, happy life, you know? You know what I'm saying? Men do things, volunteer for the country, patriotism. I'm not mad at Dan Bongino at all. You know what I'm saying? But even if he starts his show back up, I know he ain't gonna never be the same. He ain't gonna talk about it. He ain't gonna mention about the stuff that he really truly know. That's why he was like saying, I ain't got no friends. I ain't got no friends. Oh no, I ain't got no friends. You know what I'm saying? He's so that, I mean, can you imagine? Everybody is a possible plant or enemy in this particular case. Walking around, target on your back, So it's the pressure, man, that he just ended up caving in. So I get it. That's my interpret, because it makes sense, right? I mean, when you logically think about it, with Dan Bongino, it makes sense. And he ain't the only one, I'm sure. To be able to stomach this stuff, now come on now. Most of you wouldn't be able to stomach the stuff that Dan Bongino, including myself, including myself, wouldn't be able to deal with something like that. You dealing with grown men and children. Come on now. PDFs? Are you kidding me? So yeah, so this is what's going on with that though. So now that we covered that, what else is going on? Well, let me see here. Larry Ellison gave up $40.4 billion guaranteed. Guarantee for Paramount Warner Brothers bid. So they put their bid in. So Larry Ellison, right, Oracle co-founder, right, agreed to personally guarantee $40.4 billion in equity financing for Paramount Skydance Corp. Hostile bid for Warner Brother Discovery. Warner Brother, boy, I think they turned them down before. But yeah, Warner Brother, you guys know The Matrix, Batman, and a few other ones. They hold the big franchise, you know what I'm saying, for all this stuff. Refinancing by Netflix Incorporated for a part of $59 billion, right? Bridge loan, right, has intensified a bidding war, vaulting Warner Brothers, right, studios and streaming assets at $82.7 billion, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Keeping it per share price unchanged. Paramount, controlled by David Ellis, said that the amended terms do not change for the $30 per share, right? All cash offer, while the rival bids involved in large debt financing. Last week, Warner Brothers Discovery advised shareholders to reject Paramount Skydance Corp bid, citing $54 billion in debt commitments, and calling the financing inferior and inadequate. Wow. Regulatory and political scrutiny has intensified as Warner Brothers board support Netflix Incorporated, which faces hurdles, while Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, called for the bid and an anti-monopoly nightmare. Netflix reasserted Warner Brothers staff it won't close the studio. All right, so that's basically what it is there, ladies and gentlemen. This is coming from the center as well. Once again, from Ground News, ladies and gentlemen. This is what I read on a day-to-day basis. I do my show prep earlier and things, and then so forth, and I use Ground News. There's a few others that I do and things. You guys should be on Truth Social. Shame on you if you're not on Truth Social. This is the one that the president created originally. It's called Truth Social, guys. And you're missing a lot of stuff. This is how you stay informed, because a lot of these social media outlets are not going to tell the truth. However, with Truth Social, they will. This is what you want, ladies and gentlemen. You can see what the president has to say, see the truth that he's been truthing and everything. So, yeah, I follow him, and you should too. Yep. So I definitely do that, but I can see what's going on right now. They even calling him right now the peace president, right? Inflation dropped to a 2.7, defining expectations. This is the type of stuff you're going to get real news, ladies and gentlemen. There's no fluff. There's no spin. You just get exactly what it is, right? The GOP Congress delivers historical tax relief, secure borders, and safer communities, right? What does the Democrats offer? They all offer obstructions, government shutdowns, impeachments, right? As well as health care for illegals. These are the things that the Democrats offer, right? It's a no-brainer, So this is why I still rock with Trump on this stuff. Now we're gonna get into the main topic of discussion today, which is gonna be Trump's RX. Now, I'm going to say this before I go into the actual deal here. This is basically just a like a pilot, it's like a placement. But the website is up, but it hasn't officially has been official. But you can go on there. I'll give you the information in a minute, though. But just want to get some of this stuff out the way. We need to go over the gun laws as well too. I may do that at some other time and things, but I wanted to run with the Make America Healthy Again. But let me get back on barbecuing some of these turncoat ass, so-called ass, what we call Trump, what's it, MAGA? I tell you, man, these are, as Trump coined the phrase, panicking. They are panicked out. They are jumping ship. Not all of them, but some of them. Some of them were popular channels that I used to follow. They're so frustrated regards to what has been going on. They're not happy. They're impatient. They don't seem to be understanding what is going on. I can tell a lot of them are listening to the negative news instead of getting their news sources from other places. See, I get my news sources from other places. These panicking, these so-called Trumpers and everything, to me, it just shows that they were never Trumpers. When you ride and die like I do, I'm a ride or die type of person, man. I ain't jumping off unless I find that Trump has been implicated in anything, have broken laws, PDF, until it actually has been said and has been verified. Don't sell me on speculation. Don't run the Candace Owens type stuff, you know? In fact, we need to be getting into that because I watched that with Piers Morgan. Piers Morgan roasted her ass, as he should, because Candace is over here putting out these conspiracy stuff about TC USA, right? How so and so, I believe they had something to do with it. She's creating this thing. I still say that she's controlled opposition. Fuck it. That's my opinion, right? And it's showing every earmark that she is controlled opposition. You know, some of my buddies, and that's cool. They rah about Candace. But what has Candace Owens, once again, she is one of the problems, right? Because you can get up in here and just put out conspiracy ass shit that hasn't been proven. And then she tried to backpedal on it, talking about that ain't what she said. Piers Morgan even asked you. He just repeated what you've been claiming, you've been saying. I love the fact he roasted her ass. It was just quite simple because she's on her platforms. I heard her have said it many of times. She insinuated, right? She just flat out just basically said how Turning Point USA was, she believes that they were responsible trying to run the JFK thing. She tried to run that simultaneously like that, you know, it's apples and oranges here until you actually have proof. I mean, it comes out 60 years later, we find out that the FBI and all these other people that are dead now was responsible for JFK. But you want to try to run that same apples and oranges. It's not. It's apples and oranges. It's totally different. But yeah, you guys should check that out. I may show it though, you know. In fact, I may just go ahead and pull it up just a little bit. It's the Piers Morgan interview and things. I like Piers Morgan, man. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, she is so messy, man. I don't rock with Candace Owens, man. Candace Owens, man, is man, anything for clout. I'm saying myself, I really do believe that she is controlled opposition, straight like that. You know, the guy Charlie Kirk, the wife, and she run these conspiracies, and the idiots that follow Candace too. I'm gonna call you what you are. You guys are idiots. You know, can't think for yourself, and I know why, because a lot of you hate Jews. You really do. You want to lump everybody in, all together with the whole Jew thing, right? We know what it is, right? But we're talking about Turning Point right now. We ain't going to change the topic. But what the reason that she's doing this, because you got a lot of anti-Jew, Jewish hate out there. And for her, Candace, to bring this stuff up, and it was easy for her to pivot onto the Charlie Kirk thing. I see it. You know, I see it. Those little followers that you got, Trump still trumped you out on that though too. You way that you turned your back and bit the hand that fed you on Trump. I told my friend, I said, why are you listening to her and things like that? Yeah, a broken clock can be right 2 times out of a day. I mean, you know, and she's that broken clock. Candace, in my opinion, is broken. She is fractured. You know what I'm saying? So let's go ahead and do this here. I'm gonna show this here. Hold on for a minute. I'm gonna show this. Hold on for one moment. I'm gonna go ahead and show this here for a minute. Just give me a minute. I'm gonna go include this up, and I'm gonna get on you guys' comments in a minute and things. But let me do my thing. I'm gonna get to cooking, and I'm gonna get on the comments. So I want to show people this stuff, man. Shouts out to you guys. Hold on for a minute. I see Omega and them in the house. Hold on for a minute, guys. I ain't ignoring nobody. But hold on. Where my horn at? Where my horn at, ladies and gentlemen? Hold on, I got it. Hold on for a minute. Where's my horn at? Got to give a couple shouts out. We got the great Omega in the house, though. You know, you know, on some Brainiac stuff, though. Yeah, he on some Brainiac. You know, remember DC Comics, Brainiac? Boy, you can't outsmart Brainiac, man. Y'all remember who followed DC, man? Who followed DC Comics? Man, I remember Brainiac, man. We got to give a shout out. Get a shout out to Omega in his house. We're going to give a shout out for Joe Mama. Not Joe Mama, but Joe Mama. Go ahead now, right? Who else is up in his house for real? Let me see here. That's advertisement right there. Hold on for a minute, guys. I see y'all in here. Let me turn my comment thing on. Oh, yeah, that's a lot better. Boy, I'm slipping a little bit. Hold on, guys. Hold on for a minute. I'm going to bring this Piers Morgan. You guys, I watched it. I watched this thing. Let me go ahead and share this, man. And Mega, hey, man, you were spot on. You saw it before I saw it, man. Come over here, because I was one time, man, like you. I know we talked about this before, man, but, I was giving her accolades, and I wanted to continue liking her. But I started seeing what she was telling me, man. I was mad. I say, damn, got duped, man. Got duped. Yeah, so other than that, I got it up here, guys. We got the receipt. And I just love how Piers Morgan destroyed Candace on here. Something that Omega probably would have been able to do. Just the same questioning. Y'all want me to run it? Let's run the clip. Play that clip.
So who approached who about you guys actually getting together?
I was approached by Turning Point after Blake Neff, who works on Charlie's show, sort of fumbled this invite. It was, I'd almost say it was a fake invite publicly. And then in the middle of the night said, oh, Candace is not able to be here tomorrow. And they never messaged me. And I think there was quite a bit of public backlash with how they went about it. It was just not the way that we try to set meetings. And so what happened after was they reached out to me, said Erica would agree to do a live stream, just the two of us. And then after Erica's PR blitz, they reached out again and said that they felt that it was better for us to meet one-on-one as opposed to us sitting down having Megyn Kelly moderate, which was the idea originally.
Right. And so where did you have your summit meeting?
At a hotel here in Nashville.
Guys. He gonna show it.
And
yeah,
a lot of your, as you know, a lot of your supporters, fans of your show, think that you may have been lured into a trap. Did anything while you were there make you think you were being lured into a trap?
I don't know that a lot of my fans think that I was being lured into a trap. I think ahead of time they had some concerns, obviously, because I think in general, after you see a public assassination and you start tracking so many lies that are happening, there's...
Hold on for one moment, guys. I got to say one thing here too. And I know you guys probably may already know, right? With when the Candace Owens and Kirk and Erica Kirk, right? When they agreed to have the one-on-one interview or the one-on-one battle thing or debate or whatever like that. Well, debate, right? Erica Kirk had to visit and see Candace. Ain't that something? Instead of Candace flying out to see her. Did you guys hear about that? I mean, right there with the nerve. Like, who is Candace, right? Oh, I got to fly out to, and meet her. I got to be on, you know what I'm saying? Who is this woman, man? Who is this woman? Right? Boy, I tell you, man, Charlie Kirk built up Turning Point, right? USA, since probably 2010, right? 2009, whatever, around that time, right? Which she used to be a part of, right? But let me go on and play this, and then we get back on the other
going
stuff.
To be an understandable amount of angst that people feel. And I certainly felt the angst as well. I've obviously been very clear that I am suspicious of some of the characters that are at Turning Point USA. So I totally understand why the public was concerned.
When you saw Erica, she was obviously angry about you in that CBS town hall. What was her demeanor like when you met her?
Well, I don't think that she thought she was angry in that. I think maybe that was the characterization from the public. I certainly thought she was angry as well. And she sort of clarified that she was a bit annoyed by the questioning, the way in which Barry had set up the question with the podcaster Candace Owens, which I think was definitely being driven more by Barry Weiss's feelings towards me, long-running feelings towards me, than it was perhaps for the benefit of CBS and trying to pretend to be an impartial journalist. So I think she was frustrated by the line of questioning, is what she explained to me.
So how would you categorize the 4.5 hours? If you were looking at it in totality, what was the tone of the conversation? What do you think you both got out of it?
Well, for me, answers to the questions of trying to understand why there were so many turning point lies, and why, instead of people acknowledging that these are lies, I felt that there was this billion-dollar psychological operation to convince people that, yeah, this is just crazy. These aren't lies. These are made up. And so I was very refreshed that they owned up to the lies. That was a great first step. And I think, what motivates that? Maybe because despite having what I would assume to be the best PR agents and crisis PR agents in the world, we're moving toward a different world where people don't really care, if you are friends with the people at, WME and CAA, and what they can do for you.
How do you know,
sort of
Candace?
power
How do
is
you know?
ineffectual in this day and age. And so I think they recognize that, and that the public simply doesn't believe the story that they've been fed, and the psychological operation to convince us not to believe our own eyes or to trust our common sense instincts has failed. Okay, and I think on their end, they got more clarity on how I figured out certain things.
Yeah, watch out.
More clarity on why I am convinced that there are people that are inside of Turning Point that are dirty. And I was able to share more with them off record. And I think that they got more clarity in exchange.
Before we get into some of the sort of specifics, is there not a danger here? I've already seen it in some of the reaction from people that follow your show. Is there not a danger that in seeking to be the one that exposes the truth? And I don't know the truth about what happened to Charlie Kirk. I work on the assumption that this lone, twisted weirdo Tyler Robinson killed him for whatever reason, and I suspect personally that is how this will play out. However, I have an open mind in the sense that we still don't really know what happened with President Kennedy's assassination. I found the attempted assassination of Donald Trump very odd in the way that that's been handled by the authorities and so on. I'm not naive. As a journalist of 40 years, I'm not naive enough to say every single thing you've been saying is obviously baloney, because I don't know. And we'll get to some of the more specific details. But is there not a danger, Candace, that by having a 4.5-hour private meeting, rather than doing it in public, that all you're really going to do, collectively, actually, you and Erica Kirk, is fuel the conspiracy theories about what you may or may not have discussed in that meeting, what part of the stuff that you've been broadcasting on your show she agrees with and doesn't agree with, and so on. Is there not a danger this is the least transparent way of going about trying to get solutions here?
Well, I'm a very transparent person, so my preference was to do it publicly, but I took the offer, obviously, to have any conversation, because if I hadn't done that, then I think everything I've been doing would have appeared disingenuous. Like, oh, Candace is pretending that she wants answers to her questions, but when she got this offer, she suddenly said she didn't want to go because it wasn't public. They would have felt like I was moving the goalpost. So I was willing to take anything. And from their viewpoint, they felt like after the CBS News and the Fox News hits that Erica did, it was... my understanding was that they felt that it was a good idea to bring the temperature down first by having us sit down and communicate. And that doesn't mean that they necessarily say, oh, well, that's it. Now we're not going to have any other public discussion. I'm hopeful they will. I think they should. I totally agree with you. More transparency, the better.
Who else was in the meeting? Erica was there. Who else was there?
Justin Strife, who is the COO of Turning Point USA, and my husband was only there for a portion of it, and my cousin.
So there were no lawyers, for example? No
lawyers. But they did phone their lawyer because I asked the question. I was like, look, I'm open to being wrong, obviously. If there is something, which I think the media was kind of hinting at, that they had more, but they couldn't share it with the public, I said, I'm happy to keep my mouth shut. And I want to feel good walking out of here that there is something there. There is some sort of a smoking gun. And I will tell viewers just to be patient. And so they did call one of the lawyers working on this case, and it was not convincing at all. He said, in effect, all we have is what the public has seen. And we won't know more because we're investigating and looking for more. And so that just made me go, why is everybody being so over the top and ridiculous and using words like the evidence is overwhelming? It was Tyler Robinson, when they don't have anything that's overwhelming.
How you know
to show
it
that
was
it's
Tyler
they
Robinson?
they don't have a video
How do you know?
of him taking the shot, which I think was something that I assumed, like, okay, there's all these cameras, maybe they actually have that video and they're waiting for a moment to release that to the public. They don't have that. Or at least I can say Erica's side has not seen that. And the lawyer communicated to me that they would not have access to that until earliest would be May. That right now they're just investigating, just like we're doing back at home.
Okay, you said that your motive for going to the meeting was that you would be able to come out and tell the world Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. So are you in a position to say that? Do you believe, as a consequence of your 4.5 hours with Erica, do you believe that it is now most likely that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk?
Absolutely not. I haven't seen one piece of compelling evidence that Tyler Robinson scaled the rooftops like Spider-Man on a college campus that he didn't go to, and fired one shot, a magic bullet shot, and killed Charlie Kirk. I have not seen one piece of compelling evidence. In fact, I've seen more compelling evidence to the contrary.
Wow.
You've seen their vibrant ads illuminating billboards.
All right, guys. Yeah, just want to get to the other part. Hold on for a minute.
A local Dairy Queen throwing out clothes in a nearby cemetery. And so I do think he was involved, and multiple people were involved. That
said that Tyler Robinson was involved. And that's a misspoke on my part. I apologize. But I'm just saying, she's insinuating Turning Point, the people that was closest to Charlie Kirk. She's putting that conspiracy out, because there's another guy too, Tyler Boiler, I think it is. He was like very close to Charlie, because she's kind of insinuated, not necessarily him, but she's putting these insinuating this stuff out.
And I think he did pick up clothes. I had communication with Lance's family. I'm behind.
Let's get to some of the details, because it seems to me you've put up a lot of theories, but a lot of them don't seem to have a clear conclusion from you about what you actually think happened. I mean, you've been all over this now ever since Charlie was killed. What do you believe happened to him? Who do you think killed him?
So I can't tell you definitively who pulled the trigger. I'm not going to lie to audiences and just put something out there that's not real. But what I can say is I feel convinced that the feds were involved. I can tell you that. I think the feds were involved in staging a cover-up. I think Kash Patel knows what happened and did not happen on that day. I am convinced by me being told by people that are feds that he is not acting right and that he is not wanting to share any information. Just a couple of people are allowed to even see anything. A Fed told me that they can't even touch the Charlie Kirk file without risk of being fired, and that he's grown increasingly mad.
Aren't they still under investigation?
U.S. Marshals.
Aren't they still under investigation about the determining the factor? Because I know it ain't an open shut case, right? I mean, it's still to be determined, right?
That were there when they were doing the quote unquote manhunt for 33 hours said that Kash Patel effectively sent them on a wild goose chase, which is what was signaled to the public when he said, we got him.
Perhaps Israeli involvement in some way. You've certainly inferred a lot of Turning Point USA involvement. That's a lot of people getting involved here in the murder of Charlie Kirk, potentially. But what I'm really curious about is, given you've been all over all this and you've been airing all these theories, well, which one is it? It can't be all of these things. Is it somebody?
Well, of course,
is it someone at Turning Point USA? I mean, who do you actually believe was behind this?
Of course, it can be all of those things. And what's really ironic here is that there's a clip of Charlie in the last months leading up to his death where he speaks about the JFK assassination. And he says that multiple countries were involved, multiple people were involved, the LBJ was involved, the feds were involved. And he's correct. That is what it means. When there is a conspiracy, there are multiple people that are involved. Of course, there's not one person on a grassy knoll who shot JFK.
Well, it might have been that.
There are people who had to agree to it.
We don't
would have had to.
We don't know.
I'm answering your question. You're asking, why aren't you just going to point to one person? That to me, even that seems like a part of telling people not to believe their own gut. Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to.
bravo for for Piers Morgan, because this is the type of stuff, unfortunately, you got to deal with women, man, and their emotions, right? Because they'll just keep on over talking you. She got triggered because he was backing her in the corner, obvious as day, right? I mean, you and just this saying that I speculate, I think, and that's what she's trying to do. But she's like, oh yeah, it's a multiple things. It's called a conspiracy. You don't know. We don't know.
People at Turning Point that were complicit in having this happen. Now, who knows what their motivations are? Doesn't mean maybe this person's like, hey, I'm going to help you.
Hang on. Okay, let me stop you. Hang on. When you say obviously somebody at Turning Point, you are accusing right now people that worked with Charlie Kirk at the company he built, which is now run by his widow. You are directly accusing people in that company of being complicit in his murder, right?
I want to just be very clear connecting that dot. So I said that when there is a conspiracy, of course, there are going to be multiple people involved. So applying that same logic to JFK, right? Knowing, as I do, and as Charlie did believe that LBJ was involved, which then implicates the feds as having been involved, which then implicates the Dallas police station as being involved. I believe Israel was obviously involved, that they were the ones that wanted him dead for saying that what is now AIPAC should have to register under FARA. So there's motive. There are people that have to be involved on the ground that day. There are people that have to be willing to allow the perpetrators to get away. There has to be media that's complicit. And that's what literally Operation Mockingbird was. It was established
the problem,
to persuade the public.
Candace, here's the problem.
Well, hang on. It was established.
But here's the problem with everything you're saying.
In this massive cover-up.
You keep saying, this is where people think you're prone to endless conspiracy theories for whatever reason. Is you keep using the phrase, they have to have been involved. So by that yardstick, what you're saying is, with JFK's assassination, and we recently had a lot of the files released, which did not conclusively prove any of these things, right? Now, again, I don't know what happened to JFK, but the one possibility you've not ruled in is it was just as simple as Lee Harvey Oswald. It might have been. We don't know, right? So when you say the media has to have been involved, Lyndon Johnson has to have been. But my problem is you're stating all these things as
facts. We can't do 63, so it's such a nonsense to say this is Lee Harvey Oswald acting.
You don't know that.
That's just such a nonsense. I do know it was not Lee Harvey Oswald acting by himself. And then that required national security to lock down the files. And that required the feds to impart, the CIA to impart Operation Mockingbird to convince the public that, you can't go against this grieving widow. Don't look further into it. Don't believe your own eyes.
Let me just say, this is
she's trying to insinuate the JFK to the Charlie Kirk thing, right? It's amazing to me because we don't have any information other than the shooter. That's about it. They still, and when they're still under investigation, they're going to lock the files down. Nobody going to have access to that stuff until they can be able to determine and find out if there was other conspirators and stuff that's involved in this type of thing, though. To me, I still think it's apples and oranges, in regards to this thing. So, yeah.
But Candace,
it was a grand conspiracy that killed JFK. I am going to say that confidently. I just think we have to grow up. We have to grow up. We can't keep pretending Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. We can't keep doing that.
That is your opinion.
Yes. That's
Today's show is sponsored by...
Hold on for a minute. Let me just move this out. Hold on for a minute.
Because the feds cover it up. Theory. Because the feds are never going to admit to their own crimes. That is the reason we're still discussing it.
That may be the case, but you can't prove that.
Right. You got to prove it.
Well, I can prove common sense that Lee Harvey Oswald did not stand on a grassy knoll and assassinate a president. And LBJ, like Charlie says in that clip, which people...
See, she would be better if she would just admit that it's her opinion, like I do. If it's some shit that I don't understand and know, of course, I'm gonna say, just like I say, Candace Owens should say, it's a controlled opposition. That's my opinion. Now, I feel strong on my opinion about this woman, right? Now, you got other people that follow her blindly or whatever like that say that they believe that she's not a plant. They believe that she's telling the truth. That means that she's out for, how you gonna be able to speculate something off of an opinion? Don't you supposed to have factual information? She couldn't be no private investigator for real. To be an investigative and journalist, you have to be willing to put your personal feelings to the side, and you have to be totally biased to the whole thing. Nothing but the facts. And right now, all this speculation stuff. She hasn't gave us no concrete evidence on anything. That's the whole point. This is why Piers Morgan, he's pinning her down. You might as well just be up there on that thing for your opinion, even though she won't come out and say it. But people that follow Candace, some of them, they're not really all the way there, because this is hatred of Charlie Kirk, hatred of the Jews, and it makes it where they get kind of blindsided. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. Hatred of Trump, and they got this like tunnel vision. This is exactly what this stuff is, man. I'm gonna play a little bit more, and then we're gonna go into
should go pursue
I know Charlie
all of
said
the
that.
weird things that happened that day that were unusual, and LBJ
All right, but let's
decided
get
not
back
to
to
ride that day.
Let's get
and then
back to-
suddenly he reversed course on all of JFK's
let's move
policies,
off
and
from
he was
JFK.
fighting AIPAC. Israel killed JFK.
All right.
Now, going back to your point
She's
about
just
Turning Point
pivoting.
USA
Yes.
and the ridiculous
sticking to the
idea
facts.
that implicating, this is a $100 million
Boy, I tell
organization.
y'all,
Yeah.
boy.
Common sense. If this was not even a
mm.
high-profile political assassination, and this was just a guy
I'm almost
who
finished,
worked at
y'all.
a company that was
Then we'll
$100
get
million,
into the, thing. I
right?
just wanna
Common sense
bring
inquiry
this up.
is, was there a financial motive for this person to be dead? Okay. This is like Sherlock Holmes 101. And this is what I mean when I say that the public no longer trusts the media because you're acting us to be stupid. And we don't want to do that. We actually don't want to pretend that we're clinical idiots who can't assess things and go, oh, there could be a massive motive here to have Charlie dead, especially when it seems very strange that Bibi Netanyahu, when nobody even had a clue of what happened, this guy's doing the rounds on Fox News and saying, I didn't kill Charlie Kirk. That's kind of weird. Did you feel compelled to jump on to Piers Morgan's show and say, just so everybody knows, I didn't kill Charlie Kirk? Why would he say that?
So
Why was he so involved? That somebody-
Well, he has a right to say it, though. I would be saying it, though. No, I didn't have nothing to do with that. You know what I'm saying? And even if he did, you think he's going to admit it? You know what I'm saying? Unless it's just speculative information, man. She doesn't have any facts, man. Make a terrible investigator. All this, oh yeah, Candace Owens is all this, and she's so smart and intelligent. Listen, when you, in my opinion, once again, controlled opposition, they feed you information. They feed you information. All this dark money, all this stuff. You think you're going to be able to find out who their people are when they already been busted? And I put Candace Owens in that same category with the Alex Jones thing and all this other kind of stuff, right? You know, like I keep saying, if you can find it on YouTube, it was an old video clip with Bill Cooper. He been called out Alex Jones. He said that he was basically another controlled opposition because this is what these people do. And to me, she's still parallel to Alex Jones. Because they're feeding them the info. How Alex Jones know all this stuff, right? Even with Candace Owens, unless if you're being fed, right? And that's exactly where I'm standing on that. I'm gonna stand on that though, right?
Candace,
I want to get 97,000 front war.
Candace, I want to get to the reality of what you're actually saying. So when you say that somebody at Turning Point USA, Charlie's company, was complicit in his murder, who was?
I believe that there were multiple people at Turning Point who are, as I have said many times, my exact words are, they are engaged.
See, she messed up right here. She said she thinks that there was multiple people at Turning Point. Now, she threw out Nelson Yahoo earlier, but she says that she thinks that multiple people in Turning Point USA had some involvement with Charlie Kirk's assassination. And we're gonna hold her to that. Ain't gonna be no pivot with the debate. We got to hold her to that now.
Engaged in a cover-up of what happened to Charlie on that day.
No, but who was involved in his murder?
I didn't say that they murdered Charlie.
You said that people at Turning Point were complicit in his murder.
That's what she just said.
My exact sentence that I said was that there were people at Turning Point who are engaged in a cover-up.
No, you didn't.
I believe
Sorry,
that
you didn't.
thoroughly.
Candace, you didn't say that.
Hold on, let me put it on pause. Hey guys in the chat, I would like to know, did you guys, what did she just say before? Did you guys see what he just said? I know, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just going to ask though. Did she just say that Turning Point USA was complicit in Charlie Kirk's murder, right? That's what she pretty much said, right? She actually said that. Then she going to go back and say that she didn't say it. You know, I'm about to get off of this in a minute, man. I just wanted to show y'all this stupidity right here, and I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I mean, damn, I'm gonna get with the comments in a minute. I thought we were RX. This is making me fucking stupid. I know, right? Okay, yeah, I know, though, Joe Mama. All right, Joe Mama. I just wanted to get up to that point. I got to get my little in on this with Candace, man, because I'm angry with the people that once called themselves MAGA, So this is my chance to kind of, But yeah, so other than that, though, let's go ahead on with the RX thing. I done been on this long enough. Boy. All right, so other than that, though, so at Joe Mama's request, no, I'm just kidding. I was going to do this anyway. But yeah, this is crazy. Breaking down the Trump's RX. A new way to get a cheaper prescription drugs, Give me a minute so I can get my composure, man. God, dirty boy. I feel you, though, Joe Mama. I do. All right. So here it is, though. So the show, we are going to dive into the issue that affects your wallet. It's your health, right? And everyday life, right? So therefore, today, we're going to be talking about something that has been a big headline in healthcare. TrumpRx.gov. You can go there right now on this website, right? The new government-run website that promised to slash prescription drug prices for millions of Americans. If you were ever started or ever stared at the pharmacy bill and thought, wow, how is this legal? I wondered as well too. How is that we were paying high, exorbitant amounts of on the prescription drugs, but our other countries pay less? This was a big question, right? Well, check this out. We are going to break down what Trump's RX is and how it works. So, who's benefiting? That's what I asked myself. And whether this is a game changer or is being billed as let's jump in, right? We're going to jump into it. First of all, right, basics. TrumpRx.gov is an official U.S. government website that was launched part of the President Trump's push to implement the most favored nations pricing in prescription drugs. The idea is simple but bold. Americans shouldn't be paying way more for the same medicines that people in other development countries, as I just said, get in for a fraction of the cost. For decades, U.S. drug prices have been the highest in the world, often 3 to 4 times higher than places like Canada, the UK, Germany, Japan. Why? That is the big question. Why? Because other countries negotiate hard or set price control, while here in the United States, the pharmaceutical companies have more or had more freedom to charge what the market will bear. Critics call it global freeloading, right? Foreign nations benefiting from American innovation while we foot the bill. President Trump revealed this most favored nation policy, right, with the executive order earlier in 2025, pressuring the drug companies to match the lower prices they offer abroad, right? Kind of like that cereal thing that we talked about yesterday with all these, petroleum-based dyes. They were willing to take them out in the Western Scandinavian countries, but they wouldn't do it here. Same thing here, right? And Trump's RX is the consumer-facing part of that, right? Here is the key thing. Trump RX doesn't sell drugs directly. It is like an Amazon for pills. Instead, it is a portal that connects you to patient straight to disconnect prices from participating pharmaceutical companies. You search for your medication on the site, and it links you to a manufacturer's own platform where you can buy it at the reduced, right, most favored nation rates. This bypasses a lot of the traditional middleman, like pharmaceutical or pharmacy benefit managers, PBS, right? Break that acronym down, right? And insurers, who often add markups and rebates that drive up costs. The site, currently promotional, right? For right now, it is live at TrumpRx.gov. You guys should check that out. I was there, I looked at it. But the full functionality, right, with the searchable drugs and direct links is set to launch January 2026. As for right now, December 2025 is marked as coming soon. But the deal are already rolling out. So the signing on, right? A lot of the big names that we already know, like Pfizer, right, back in September, then Eli Lilly, right, Novo Nordisk, right, AstraZeneca, and others. Just this month, in December the 19th, 9 more major companies announced deals, which is Amgen, Bristol Myers, Schwab, Boehringer, Ingelheim, right? And then we also have Genentech, the Roche, what's that one company here? Hold on for a minute. I always have trouble saying that company. Hold on for a minute. Gilead. There we go. So Gilead, ladies and gentlemen, that's another one. Boy, I always have trouble trying to say Gilead, right? So Gilead Science, we have another one here, which is GSK, Merck, Novartis, and Sanofi or whatever. The 14 out of 17 drug makers so far, right? They're agreeing to offer existing drugs to Medicaid and most favored nation prices. Launch new drugs in the U.S. at the price no higher than abroad. List popular medications on Trump's RX for direct cash purchases at a steep discount. Some real-world examples to make this tangible. Hold on for a minute. Where's my water at? Hold on for a minute. All right. So the real world examples to make this more tangible, we got Merck's diabetes drug and Januvia dropping from around $330 to $100. Gilead hepatitis C treatment. We have what's this? Opcus. Let me see here. Trying to pronounce this one too. Hold on for a minute. Gosh, dog it. Boy, I spell EPCLUSA, for nearly $25,000 to about $2,423. Damn, man, I didn't know this particular for hepatitis C, Ipcalusa, or which is USA, is actually EPCLUSA, right? So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, $25,000 for this particular medicine for hepatitis C, down to $2,425. Still think that's pricey for me, but it's better than $25,000. Discounts on insulin capped at the low price, like $35 a month in the same case. Overall, we're talking about a 50 to 80% off listed price for many primary care and specialty drugs, things for diabetes, heart disease, asthma, HIV, and more, right? For cash paying patients or the uninsured, this could be a huge, no more choosing between meds and groceries, right? It's just cruel to have to do that when you really need your medicine. But let's be real, right? It's not a perfect for everyone. If you have good insurance, you have your copay through your plan, right? So your copay through your plan might still be lower than these cash prices in some cases. Experts point out that the insured Americans is about 92% of us often gets better deals via negotiated rates. I know that's right. Trump's RX is really shining for the uninsured, or those with high deductible plans. I can see that. Also, it's mostly focused on brand name drugs for these participating companies. Right now, generic aren't the main target here. Yeah, I know that's right. And not every drug from every company is included yet. It's going to take some time, but we got some in there. What is it, like 17 of them? Like the big names that we all heard of. There is some criticism, right? Two, I would say some say that this is voluntary approach backed by tariff threats. Won't fix the systematic issue, and it might not lower prices across the board like direct Medicare negotiations could. Others worry about the long-term innovation of companies feeling squeezed. Shit, they've been squeezing us all this time. It's time to start squeezing these companies, because we got the biggest market in the world. Where else they gonna go, right? That's why they're squeezing us, because they know they got a huge market here. They already have a monopoly. You know what I'm saying? Shit, I can't even afford at the current rate afford the health care. I still can't. Be honest with you. So looking ahead, when Trump's RX fully launches in January, it will be interesting to see how many people use it. Will it force more competition? Absolutely. Will the prices keep dropping? Absolutely. I'll say I'm going to keep my eye, ladies and gentlemen, on this, because once again, we got to have choices. There was a thing in America where we didn't have what we call monopolies, but because of the corruption in government and corporations, they planned it this way. So people in America don't get a choice. It's like with the insurance companies, right? They're all in bed with each other, right? They determine what the rates are going to be, right? And they penalize people that can't afford insurance. So by the time you went ready to get insurance, we looked at your file. It looked like you've been uninsured for quite some time. You are considered a high risk. So they set these rules up like this. But if people had access to affordable insurance, like car insurance, we wouldn't have to see all this because of the greed of these corporations, these pharmaceutical industries. This is why we're here right now, right? So let's go ahead and keep on going. And then after that, we'll go ahead and go into it, right? So if you're curious, head over to Trump's, right? rx.gov right now to see the preview. You can actually bookmark it as well, too. You guys can look at that. It just says on there, it's just coming soon is what it says. But when it goes fully live, the big, beautiful bill is going to kick in. There's a lot of things. I can't wait to get to these I told you so's from MAGA. These so-called used to be MAGA, turncoat, jump ship, no good, right? So other than that, let me see what you guys have to say now, man. I'm coming back and coming around, right? Let me see what my comments are, though, ladies and gentlemen, or actually gentlemen and stuff like here. So we got Omega with the LOL. Yeah, it's the best port. Best part, LOL. Yeah, that's what Omega says. Let me see here. Omega says, okay, here it is right here. Let me get these comments a little closer here. That'll work. Whether they knew they would be implicated and they can restruct before the midterms, right? Exactly. This is what Omega's saying. However, the Trump labeling was a plot to get him to release faster. You said that before, Omega. You're absolutely right. I agree with you on that as well. Because they pushed it for the Epstein stuff. Joe Mama says it's gonna take me that long to get caught up. Joe Mama says now we know why Bongino is leaving. Yep, exactly. I said that earlier. Do you think he DI? Yeah, I know what you mean. Think he died? I'm not for sure though, man. We're gonna go back and revisit it. Let me get through this real quick, retract it. Oh, come on, Yeah. Joe Mama says, I say BS. He knew exactly what he was doing, right? Talking about Dan Bongino. He was an ex-Secret Service and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I know what you mean, though, Joe Mama. I know what you mean. I'm going to get through it real quick. We're going to talk about that some more. Joe Mama says, what you hear about JP Morgan, right, in Uri colors. I know that JP Morgan, I don't know much about that one, but we can go over that too. This is Omega's favorite part. Gun laws is my forte, you know. In fact, Joe Mama, I have you up here on that. You're gonna be talking about that on your forte, man. Exactly. Let me see here. Omega says Piers Morgan is a grifter too. So, and like I said, I agree with Candace Owens on some things. I agree with Piers Morgan on some things, though. But he does have a point when he asked her that question, because instead of just saying an opinion, that's why we hear it right now. But we know why she's doing it, because if it don't bleed, it don't read. That's exactly what it is. She knows what she's doing, you know. Omega says a broken clock in my home can only be right once a day. I said twice today, but because it can only be Candace. But but it can only be 13:05 once a day. You got a good point there, you know. 1:05 for those that don't know military time. Omega says, my opinion is you said that Tyler did it. Tyler did it. It is possible too. Let's not rule it out. I'm not saying that he didn't do it, but I mean, you know, it's like who shot JR, right? This is where, for those that don't know the reference, this is coming from Dallas with Gene Hackman, not Gene Hackman, but what's his name? Larry Hagman, right? No relations, right? But yeah, this is where that's coming from. Omega says, my opinion, Tyler did it. Feds GS 114-15 are covering it up, hindering an investigation. I agree with it's something suspicious about this. It's something going on, man. You know, something going on, right? More evidence show that Tyler is the shooter, right? Yep. That's what you're saying. And the need for extraordinary, I'm gonna say extraordinary circumstances fueled the conspiracy theory. Yeah, man, that's where it's going. Joe Mama says, so hate her over that? No, I don't hate her. It's just the fact is that I just don't agree on some of the things that she basically is saying, you know what I mean? Because she still says that she make it like she know it for a fact when it's just her opinion. I would stand on it if she just said, it's just my opinion. Omega says, I hate no one. I think she's dumb. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that some of the things that she's really, really saying, I mean, her people hold her up, man. She can't do no wrong. They believe in every conspiracy thing, like with Alex Jones. It's like the same thing, in my opinion. Joe Mama says, I thought we were RXing. This is making me effing stupid. Omega says, LOL, Joe Mama. Think of a castor oil, right? Castor oil, right? Helps remove the blockage. Tastes like crap, though. I remember castor oil, man. Ooh. I hate it more as a kid than right now. Joe Mama says, why would he even say that? Let me see here. And Omega says, there is no such thing as a military time. It's logistical time. Or thinking like a true engineer. The military happens to use it. Okay. But I mean, I know, I never knew that though, Omega. I knew it had to be something. Well, it had to be. You always educate me as well, though. I appreciate it very much. Right? Mm-hmm. So I got through all the comments, though, These are my main road boys here, my road dogs, So we dropped down to 2 viewers. What's new these days, Some random guy. We got somebody on YouTube, somebody on Twitch. 0 on X today. 0 on X, man. But it's all good though, man. It's all good. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this. And let me see where my time is at right now. It's a little over an hour, Omega. I will say this: why don't we do about 30 more minutes, and then I gotta get out here and make it happen, make some money. So we're gonna talk about the gun laws now. I just wanted to get that out for TrumpRx.gov. Get that out for you guys. But we're gonna talk about something that nearest and dearest to me. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, it's one of these type of things, though. And one of my trusted. I ain't gonna show it on here though. Finally, I ain't gonna pull out no armory on this thing though. So I ain't gonna do that. I ain't gonna do that, Omega. I ain't gonna do it. Nope. I ain't gonna do it. I was gonna, but we're gonna talk about the gun laws, gun control. So they say, we know that all these shootings you heard about it, even in Australia and other places, right? The Browns shooting, the university, and all this stuff. What does it mean? Well, we're gonna go into it. I'm gonna bring a gun specialist. He's a teacher, teach gun safety and all that stuff. And ex-military, Joe Mama, ex-military. And I get a lot of people that are military, ex-military, that rock with me. So I'm gonna go ahead on and send the invite, drop the link down, and anybody else that want to come up and to have this discussion. We're talking about the gun laws and what they're trying to do in the Second Amendment gun rights, right? The Second Amendment. There we go. I dropped the link down over here, though. So, yeah. So that's the thing about it. They're infringing on our rights, right? So I'll be damned if this country is going to give up their arms, and they're trying. Good thing we got somebody like Trump. I dropped that link down. So, Omega, you can come up. I know Joe Mama just like to listen and chat, and that's fine. Anybody else, you're more welcome coming up here. Come up here as well, too, and chat with your boy. People over there on Rumble, don't be shy. Don't be shy. This is going to be in Omega's wheelhouse. I'm about to bring him up now. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Let's go ahead and do this here. Oops, sorry. Hold on for a minute. That was wrong. Hold on for a minute. Yep. And that's Omega. All right, go ahead and grab Omega up on the stage. Yes, sir. There you go.
How's it going?
All right. How about yourself?
I'm all right. Just took an early day off.
Okay, I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. I took a day off yesterday from streaming, Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about the gun laws. We're talking about what it means with the mass shootings and all this other stuff from Columbine, Stockton before that, Ruby Ridge. You name it, Georgia Tech, the governor in Tucson, Arizona. All so. Let me ask you this though, Omega. What does it all mean, man? What do you see coming over the horizon?
Oh, well, best way I could put this is justification for more draconianism.
Right? Exactly.
Effectively, okay. The problem with the they're not left, okay. Let's just say the neo-libs, okay. The problem with the neo-libs and their gun grabbery ways is the fact that well, let's start from the top. The first gun laws that were implemented were to prevent black people from
Yes, sir.
prevent black people from being able to own and use guns the same way as white Americans. Now, once we get that out of the way, right? They basically want to use how would you say best way to put it is
the Second Amendment,
right?
Lower whites as cannon fodder to basically say, well, see, we're not really just focusing on black people, we're focusing on everybody. But in reality, no, the first gun laws and all of the precedents that they often cite as justification for these gun laws point back to gun laws that prohibited black people from owning firearms. So that being the case, that being the absolute case, right? The real issue becomes, well, how do we basically make this seem a little more effiable? Well, we're going to appeal to emotion. That's how we're going to do it. Okay, we're going to appeal to emotion. We're going to gaslight the public into a false belief that the problem is not the person, it's the gun. So basically, they try to frame it as mere gun ownership is the proxy or the modus behind the gun shootings and stuff, the shootings and mass shootings and what have you. They basically frame it like, well, if he didn't have a gun, he wouldn't have done this. Well, here's the thing, we have similar problems that happen worldwide that basically amounts to mass casualty events, but it doesn't require guns. It requires knives. It requires bombs. Heck, and even in one case, somebody ran around with a ball peen hammer, whacking people in the head, killing and maiming them also. So the thing is, the problem is never the implement that is being used; it's the person. The problem is that the neocons are being pigeonholed by the left. So the left basically believe that all humans are inherently good and that society itself is what causes the evil within man. No, that's not correct. What is correct is that basically all men are capable of sin. And the thing is that you being capable of sin also illustrates the point that you're not inherently good or evil. You are inherently you and are capable of both good and evil.
Right, exactly.
So the fact of the matter is that they're working with the blank slate hypothesis. And the problem with the sorry, I'm sitting here messing around with
Right.
video
It's
games
yeah,
right
yeah.
now.
Hey, I hear that. Yeah. So the blank
but
slate hypothesis. Yeah, go right ahead.
yeah, the blank slate hypothesis. They call it theory. I call it a hypothesis. A theory is basically a concept that has already been hypothesized that is going through testing and can be replicated. Whereas with them, it's more or less like, well, we're just going through the process of idealizing it. So it's a theory. I mean, it's a hypothesis. So the blank slate hypothesis posits that um, nobody has any inherent sin. Nobody has anything inherent to them, whether biologically, culturally, or what have you. Now, there's technically some truth in that because of the simple fact is that, yes, for all intents and purposes, you could put five babies in the room, five 2-year-olds in a room, and they're from different backgrounds. They'll just see another 2-year-old baby. Okay,
Right.
so there is some validity in their argument. However, every good lie has a kernel of truth in it. Okay,
Hmm.
so that
Right.
being the case, the lie is that therefore anyone at any time is a blank slate, and society inscribes upon you the evil. So in other words, owning the gun is the cause of you doing the shooting. I'm like, okay, if that's the case, right? We already know 5%. The rate is that 5% of all black people. That means 5%, or let's just say black men. 5% of 5%, an
Right.
infinitesimally small amount of people are responsible for almost 60% of violent crimes involving guns.
Right.
So by your logic, me owning 20 guns at minimum, I should be out here blowing people away just cause. No, that's not true. Okay? The truth, the actual truth is that you have what is called mens rea. Mens rea, or the guilty mind. So in other
Hmm.
words, if I have no mens rea or no guilty mind or no provocation to commit mass casualty with any of my firearms, then therefore I won't. But they reject that.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, they reject that. Yeah, you're right about that though, man. You know,
Yeah.
it's like that Gaelic dialect, you know, because that's what's being ran even right now. You know, you create a problem. It's, you know, trying to summarize it a little bit. You wait for wait for a response from the people. Then they say, like you said, aha, I have an idea of what we can do. Let's go ahead and get rid of all the guns. No more guns, no more problems.
And that's false because I'm going to tell you like this. Explain to me how between explain to me how between 2015 all the way up until 2020, London, England, which has an absolute gun ban, not a single legal law-abiding citizen can own a firearm. In fact, cops, not all cops even have firearms. They actually have to call out special cops that have guns to come out to handle a situation that requires a gun, right?
Yeah.
How is it that London had a higher murder rate than New York City?
Well, I will say this because I know knives, machetes, there was other type of weaponry that was used. This is a reason.
Exactly.
So, in other words, and you're gonna, you know, you already know this, but I'm gonna say it for the people that may not know. So, there was another ban on the chef knife, kitchen knife, other stuff, machete.
Well, it's not really a ban.
Okay,
I know where
yeah,
you're about to go with that one.
yeah, exactly.
I have friends in England. And I talk to them about this all the time.
Sure.
It's like it works out like Michigan and the non.
Oh
CPL
yeah,
holder.
that's right. That's right. The CPL holder. That's right. Yep, I forgot about
What
that.
happens? What happens is you must go to your local magistrate or police officer and basically file a purchase permit. When you file this purchase permit,
right.
what happens is you are to go directly to the store that sells the knife. You grab the knife. You have to go straight home with the knife, and you cannot make any other stops between your house, your house, and that store while having the knife.
Ooh, woof. Hold on, I gotta do a. Oh man.
Now, I like on Facebook. I have about I want to say 12 or 13. I'm not really on Facebook like that, but I met friends over time, and basically that's how they communicate with me. Besides Telegram or whatever, so I communicate with them, talk to them about what's going on in England and stuff like that. If I
Right.
have a question about something I saw on the news, I ask them just because they're the people on the ground. Because you
Right.
know, we all know that the news media has their own biases about things.
This is true. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So I actually ask people. And I don't just ask one person, I ask multiple. I have about like 10 friends that are clustered around the London metro area.
Right. Right. Yeah, you in this case, you're well in the know.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So I'll ask 10 different people and then basically cobble together a complete picture of what's going on based on
Right.
it, because a lot of them, they're a lot like me. What they do is they basically read through the crap, actually get official notices and stuff like that, and actually read through the official notices and blah 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 blah. So effectively, yeah, you can't really purchase a knife except for having a purchase permit. And see, and through that purchase permit situation is how they were trying to figure out how to ban pointed knives.
Right.
Okay, they're trying to make it so that the end of the knife is rounded or blunted.
Right. Exactly.
But personally, my thing is that watch. See, I personally never been in prison, but I have relatives that have, and they explain some things to me about how prison life works.
Right.
You know, they even explained to me that the series Oz can be technically true. So what happens is that still does not prevent people from being able to manufacture knives.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's that's good. That's good information though, man. Yeah, because they got to regulate it like that, which I know they were trying to do that here, and things.
But you got let's go back to Australia, right?
Yep.
They had two major bans that happened within the past 30 years. The
Okay.
first the first ban was in 1996, if I
Mm-hmm.
recall correctly. It's either 96 or 97. It was after a mass shooting, right? So then
Right.
they created this thing. It basically boiled down to a registry, right? There was
Mm-hmm.
then about, I want to say, back in 2015, they did a secondary ban. And what that did was that forced everyone who owned a firearm to actually report to the police station
Right.
if they could get some type of firearm license, not license, but firearm owner ID, which
Right.
basically amounts to a list of everyone who owns a firearm. If you were eligible for that, you keep your firearms. If you're ineligible, you have to sell your firearms to the police,
Mm. Okay.
and usually for dirt cheap. So you're basically lost money. That being
Mm.
the case, that being the case, you would you would think this would have prohibited the events that happened on the first day of Hanukkah. Okay, you
Right.
would think, but here's the problem with everything they're talking about. The problem with any type of regulation is just like the what happened during the prohibition. If
Right.
you institute a ban, guess what? There's going to be a black market.
Yeah.
There's going to be a black market. And
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, I can tell you this right now, okay? And you know this, you're from here in Detroit also,
Right.
okay?
Yep.
Most of your most of your black market guns are stolen. And
Yep.
then one of the chief victims of theft of firearms is the police.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, man. I can't even dispute that one. You know, logically it makes sense because I know a lot of brothers growing up in the hood though. They had a gun, but what did they do? File off the what serial number, so it
Right.
can't be
And,
traced.
and don't even get me started with that one because
Oh.
they want to equate that to what is known as
Hmm.
ghost guns. There's a difference, okay?
Yeah.
An actual quote unquote ghost gun is me using a lathe and machinery to manufacture my own gun.
Yes.
Firing off a serial number is not a ghost gun, you freaking idiots. That's what I hate about politicians. They talk before they think. Oh, this is an AR-55 that fires 55 bullets per second.
Hmm.
No.
Right.
The AR stands for Armalite Rifle, Model 15.
Hmm.
You idiot.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And we elect these morons.
Exactly.
Yet they're the same people that says, well, if you don't have a uterus, well, you don't own a freaking gun and don't know a damn thing about guns. How are you legislating guns?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yep. Exactly, man. Yeah. But yeah, man. So that's the thing with this though, man. But how let me ask you this though with the oh yeah, you got Howard in the house too. Howard jumping in late. Shout out to Howard as well. We got Howard in the house. We got Omega up here talking about you missed the first half of the show. I'm actually at the end of the show now, but we're talking about the gun rights and things and how it's affecting us. I talked about the TrumpRx thing earlier. We talked about Candace and unfortunately talked about that in Piers Morgan interview and stuff. So yeah, though. So cover the news, what's going on, and things regards to that, though, Howard. So you can just catch the once this is over, you can catch it from the beginning and stuff, man. Glad to see you back on. And but go. Oh yeah, what I want to ask you, Omega, about the what was it? Oh yeah. So with the NRA and things, do you see them still effective or ineffective?
I look at their effectivity or their effectiveness as being a Schrodinger's effectiveness, meaning that they are effective when they are effective and they're ineffective when they are ineffective. So, in other words, the problem with the NRA has
Oh yeah.
except for except for that they were still considered to be noteworthy as well as legitimate under his watch. With that one guy who just got ousted, I forgot his name. God, why am I forgetting his name? But he was the former president of the NRA. He did a lot of questionable stuff, and that basically tarnished the reputation. I'm not 100% sure if he was some type of traitorous element to gain power within or not. I don't know a whole lot about him. However,
You talking
the
about
fact
Oliver
is,
North? Are you talking about Oliver North?
no, that's not who I'm thinking about. He has
Okay.
a French sounding name. I forgot his name.
Let me see here. But go ahead. I'm listening though.
But
Go right
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. What happens is that under his watch, the NRA fell under scrutiny that was easy to be picked off
Oh,
by the
I'm sorry, not to interrupt you. Wayne Lepre.
LaPierre. Yeah,
Yeah,
Wayne
LaPierre.
LaPierre.
There we go. Yeah,
Yeah.
there we go.
Now, under Wayne
Uh-huh.
LaPierre,
Yep.
he had done a lot of shady stuff that basically was fodder for the left and and fodder for the left and the neo-libs to basically pick it apart. So, I have a certification with the NRA. The way I look at it is that the NRA themselves, they really, really have to uh, figure themselves out right now and try to figure out exactly where they're going. Because under LaPierre, I'm going to be honest with you, they ended up siding with unconstitutional acts such as red flag laws, which to me, red flag law circumvents the actual due process of the matter because there is a due process for if a person is to be adjudicated as mentally defective and fall under U.S. Code Title 8. What's that? Title 18 925G.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens is that there is a due process for that. Okay, the due process is okay. You report the person as suspicious to the police. They must then have an executable warrant. Okay, now with that
Mhm.
executable warrant, what they'll do is your guns stay at home. You get 20. What was that? 5150. Okay,
Right. Right.
you know what 5150 is, right?
I know you told me before too. 5150. Let me pull that up here.
72-hour psychiatric hold
Okay. Right.
where they
Okay.
evaluate you first. Okay.
Okay.
If they prove that you are adjudicated as mentally defective, then and only then will the two options
Yeah.
arise.
Right.
Option one is to hold you indefinitely.
Mm-hmm.
Option two is to remove firearms and release you. And then there's the secret option three. The secret option three is both remove you and confiscate firearms. But there must be a specific warrant to remove and hold the person and or
Right.
both.
Okay.
Red flag laws basically say, oh, your neighbor doesn't like you. They say that you're a wackaloon and got guns. We just come over here and take your guns without a damn warrant.
Right. Right. Yeah. California has it. I just pulled it up. California has it. It means an involuntary hold for 72 hours.
Michigan has it.
Yeah, I remember you was telling me that. Is it still 72 hours in Michigan?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, most states have that. The thing is that they think that holding you for 72 hours and it not being, you're not being deemed, mentally unfit is a waste of money. So it's better spent resources just take your guns and then force you all of these court fees and stuff to spend the next year trying to get your firearms back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
man.
a scam.
It's a scam, though, man. Yep, you're definitely right about that. Howard says, okay, he has no friend. Yeah, he has no friend in the Second Amendment. Yep, he has no friend in the Second Amendment. I think he's talking about Wayne LaPierre. Yeah.
Yeah, Wayne LaPierre. Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
he's done a lot of shady stuff and very questionable points.
Yeah. Could have been another PSYOP plant, obviously. You know what I'm saying? Practically just, I mean, it says here, you see what I put up here, how the NRA and its senior leaders broke the law and funneled millions of dollars in cash and lavish perks. Like the rest got cut off. But yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. There that is.
So effectively, what can be said? I mean,
Yeah.
they have to restructure. They have to figure out. I actually have my own. I have my own grievances with the USCCA.
Yeah.
My grievances with them is that they're an insurance company.
Okay.
That's it. They're an insurance company. So
Yeah.
what happens is that if you do get yourself involved in a what's that called again? A self-defense situation.
Yeah.
Where you require yourself to use lethal force. If some weird particularity, okay, I'll give you a perfect example. I personally live not too far from a school. I mean, literally, I can walk to this school in less than 2 minutes. That's how close to a school I am. If I involve myself in a shooting, they can say, USCCA can basically say, well, you did a shooting on school grounds, so we're not going to cover you anymore.
Yep. I knew you were going with that.
Even though my property is more than 1,000 meters from the school. Okay, more than 1,000 meters from the school. More than 1,000 meters. Oh yeah, 3 football fields. Let's just say more than 3 football fields away from the school. Right.
Yep.
They can literally say, "Well, it happened on school property, therefore."
Yep. Therefore, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, man. And that's where we are with this thing in regards to this. So, because this is a school like further down the street from where I live at too. It's a elementary school, private Catholic school, right? So
I got both. I got an elementary and a high school.
Oh, dude, you got a double whammy.
They're right across the street from each other. So
yeah, you got Megan, you get man, you got a double whammy right there, Yeah, you sure, yeah, double whammy, But
I mean, the thing is, I hate how squishy a lot of these gun advocacy groups can be. But at the same time, I understand why they're squishy like that because, quite frankly, I mean, let's just be real. The government is the monopoly on violence. Okay.
Yes.
People hate to admit that. People hate to even mention it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the only entity in our existence that commit violence with full impunity, unless, of course, they're defeated by an equal, is the government.
Yep. Exactly. And they've been this way, as you know, for a long time. But we are seeing. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, you got to think of it this way, right?
Yep.
Do you know the first ever recorded gun ban is?
The first
ever.
Let me see here off the top of my head.
You're never going to guess this one.
The first gun ban. No, I would never know it personally without having to look it up. But
1603 Japan.
Really?
1603 Japan. What happens is that there was a feudal lord by the name of Hideyoshi Toyotomi.
Okay.
Hideyoshi Toyotomi was basically the first post Sengoku Jidai shogun. So Sengoku Jidai was the split between the Kamakura era and the what's that called again? The Edo period. What happened was
Edo period. Yep.
Kamakura to Edo is a gap of about 300 years. So basically Sengoku Jidai literally means Civil War era. Japan had the longest civil war on record. The Civil War was 300
Did not know
years.
that. Okay.
300 years. The Civil War started in the 1300s and ended in the 1600s. Okay.
Okay.
You might have heard of this name because it's the most well-known name in Japanese history, and that's Oda Nobunaga. He was a front runner for the for winning the war, right?
Okay.
And it was
Yeah.
his ambition to win the war.
Mhm.
However, he was betrayed by his retainer and killed. His sword bearer by the name of Hideyoshi Toyotomi, who was born a low-class person, basically, but he was elevated because of his merits. He ended up taking up the reins of Oda Nobunaga's banners. So what happens is he rescues Oda Nobunaga's nephew, who backstabbed him later, by the name of Ieyasu Tokugawa. Tokugawa shogunate lasted with his direct descendants for the next 200 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens is that Hideyoshi Toyotomi ended up raising his military by gaining a bunch of civilians that had guns.
Okay.
Eventually, he came up with the idea. He says, "Wait a minute, I'm the one who basically gained power through the musket. Maybe I should make sure that nobody else can do the same thing to me."
Right.
So he ended up instantaneously banning civilians from owning it. Then, on top of which, he basically locked people into their social class. So, in other words, they can't go from rags to riches like he did because he was part of the lower class peasants and was raised up to being a samurai himself. So, that being the case, he said he doesn't want any other peasants to become samurai and overthrow him.
Right.
Therefore, he banned civilian ownership of guns. And his decree, and then with Ieyasu, the backstab wasn't direct. Ieyasu Tokugawa was his retainer. So what happens is that when he passed away in I think 1605, what happens is the son of Hideyoshi Toyotomi, who was only 5 years old, was supposed to be the new shogun. Well, that kid came up missing, and as a default, Ieyasu Tokugawa decided, well, since the kid came up missing, I think I'll be the shogun now. He goes to the emperor. The emperor gave him the blessing. Now he's the shogun.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I don't blame him. But I get it. Yeah.
So the reason I brought that up is government institutes the monopoly of violence, and with that, they can infringe on your right to use violence to defend yourself.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, man. Yeah, though, you bring a wonderful wealth of information. Again, I know I'm a little overdue, but I just wanted to go stretch it just a little bit. Now I'm at the point of, have to get out here and make it happen. But as always, Omega, man, I always enjoy having you on, man. Your wealth of knowledge and information. I'm always learning something. And hopefully you guys that are out there listening too, if you have learned something that you didn't know and things. And why I put this Second Amendment right up here though, and stuff, where we should shall regulate militias and so forth. So this is very important stuff.
Well, before you go, let me give you a modernistic interpretation of the Second Amendment.
Okay.
A widespread normalized armed civilian populace is necessary for the security of your nation.
Right.
The right of the populace of people to keep and bear arms shall in no ways be curtailed or otherwise legislated against.
Yeah.
Now, that is a modern interpretation of the same thing, using the exact meaning of each word that was used in accordance with the dictionaries of the time.
Right. Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, though, Omega. You always break it down as always, though, too. Did you get a chance to look at that website I showed you, the US versus USA.org?
Did you send it to me? Because I
Let me see here. Hold on for one moment here. Let me do this here. Yeah, shout out to Black Money Corp. Oh, like he's live too on his channel and stuff. I mean, yeah, I just saw that. Yeah, you know what? When I'm looking this up, mine is not showing up for me going live again. They don't like that word Trump, man. They don't like it. They don't like it. All right, here it is right here. I'm gonna send this to you right now. This right, I've been knowing about this site for years, but I'm gonna send this to you right now here.
Yep.
There we go. There we go. Yeah, I got your other information. I know I was just looking at it online. Yep. So yeah, and I gotta go back to reading that as well too. But yeah, I just sent that to you. Okay, there we go. And I think it's gonna be time that we go over it again and have you up over here too to go over this. And he does an excellent job, he does an excellent job basically saying how where America was then, how we are now. So he goes in pretty great detail, in depth on this type of stuff. So when you get a chance, you can look over and then we can do a show around it and, basically go from there,
Yep. Understood.
Other than that, though, Omega, I appreciate having you on, as well as Joe Mama. Look at Joe Mama left and things. Still haven't seen Sherry and things. I never got her personal information. That's all right, but she's up there in the suburbs over there, man, going north. But she's out there in the suburbs somewhere,
Yeah, she's probably not too far from where I live, because I mean, if she's in Macomb County, so.
Yep. Let me see. What is that? Is that considered Macomb or Oakland? One of the two. But yeah, I haven't heard from her in a while, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been almost a year.
Yeah, you're right. Sometimes she would come on and make a comment, but well, if you are listening though, Sherry lady, we all thinking about you and stuff. So, yeah. So hopefully you come back on the show and things, and then we got Howard in the house though too. Yep. The brother Howard is a brother too. Brother. Got a lot of brothers on here, brother and brother. Yep. Yeah, I appreciate you, Howard, for showing up as well too, man. Yeah. But yeah, not your mama, but Joe Mama showed up. So yeah, it's cool. Yeah, so let me go ahead and get on off here, man, and things. You about to go to work later on in the morning?
Yeah, I'm gonna be going to sleep at about 9. And
I know that's right.
Waking up at 3:00 in the morning.
I gotta right.
I gotta run to Cleveland, drop off 86,000 pounds of steel, and then after that, I gotta pick up about 93,000 pounds of bricks and bring them back to Detroit.
Right. Yeah, I totally understand that. Yeah. So, yep. So life goes on. Such is life. We gotta go out here and make the donuts, get this money, and things like that. You like my audio better here when I'm at home versus out there on the road? I'm sure, right?
I mean, you sound like you have a better microphone setup with the home. Out on the road, it depends upon which ear you decide to use.
Yes, sir. You're right about that. Yeah, I got this Snowball one that I keep on my laptop, but I mean, it has an okay sound. This one has a little bit more of a bassier. What is this? This is a dynamic mic versus the studio mics, which I tried to use a studio mic and was picking up all kind of noise, man. So yeah.
And then on top of which, I was meaning to tell you that with the way that the vehicle laws are set up in Michigan, you don't want to drive around with a microphone in your hand.
Okay. Gotcha.
You don't want to do it because, quite frankly, that is justifiable clause for the police to enact that new handheld device law.
Okay. Yeah.
You really don't want to be caught with that in your hand while you're driving.
Okay.
In fact, technically, it's illegal to even stream while driving, because I think what was that? A man was held in contempt of court because he was doing he was doing the same thing you do.
Yeah.
And he had a court date, and they had done the whole Zoom thing. and basically because they noticed that he was actively driving, and we're talking 36th district,
Yep.
they
Yep.
immediately held him in contempt of court.
Okay.
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep. I know exactly what you're saying in regards to it. I appreciate the information and tip again. So, but
yeah,
yeah, so that's why I just say I just do it here, over here at home. I have a format, that I can easily. It's kind of hard doing stuff when you're on the road, but I can easily do it here, and go over with what the with that the script, everything. So yeah.
yeah.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, so other than that though, yeah, man, I really appreciate it though in regards to that. And we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and shut this down though. I know we talked about the Jeets and all that other stuff with that truck stuff the other day. So yeah. Oh my gosh, what the all right then, Omega man. I appreciate you. Howard, I
All right.
appreciate you as well, and Joe Mama though, and everybody else that are listening. You guys over there on Rumble, man, I appreciate it though. I don't really get a lot
Yeah,
of people like that. Yeah.
well, with the whole Rumble thing,
Ooh.
I'm actually if it comes through on Rumble, because it
Yeah.
hasn't been, if it
Yeah.
comes through, you're probably going to more likely see me on that because I actually have one of those. I actually have an account with Rumble.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I don't like YouTube because whenever I go to any stream on YouTube, they want to hit me with a bunch of commercials for crap I don't want. I would never buy
Exactly.
anyway.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
yeah, so
Yeah,
I have
that's
an account on Rumble, so they don't
right.
hit me with any commercials.
Yeah, yeah. If you got an account on Rumble though, and that's another thing though too, man, because I know Howard, he signed up on Rumble to follow me and things. So yeah, because this has gotten a little bad on Rumble too. I remember I had to create an account with Rumble in order for me to stream. They will not let you stream, as you already know. They won't let you stream on Rumble. It's a paid thing, just like with X. You got to pay for it, man. It won't let you
Which
do it.
I don't. I don't. I personally and particularly don't mind the because
Yeah,
I ended up my account. I ended up paying on a discount because
right.
I'm connected with some other people, and
Okay.
they're a little more mainstream. I'm actually personal friends with. I'm actually personal friends with. I'm not sure if you heard of him, but Jeremy Hambley of the Quartering. I'm actually personal friends with him. Then on top of which, I'm friends with another person. He's in the red pill space. His name is Terrence Pop. He has Redonkulous on YouTube. I'm actually
Okay.
personal friends with him, and then I'm also personal friends with Liberty Dow.
I remember you was telling me about her. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm actually personal friends with some, and by proxy, I do sometimes rib Tim Pool a little bit, something here and there as well.
Okay. Yeah. I remember you was telling me about that though too. I'm gonna start following Tim Pool. I see him on Rumble. I think I've got it following him and things. So I'm gonna
Yeah.
check him out. Yeah. Check out Tim
I
Pool and
mean,
stuff.
me personally, I look at Tim Pool as a what's that called again? An honest liberal.
Yeah.
That's what I literally look at him as.
Yeah.
So he and I would start disagreeing on death penalty versus. He and I would disagree on death
Right.
penalty versus
Of course.
abortion. I mean,
Of
me
course.
personally, I'm
Yeah.
provisionally pro-life.
Yeah.
He's traditional pro-choice. He went
Yep.
from
Mhm.
pro-abortion to traditional pro-choice,
Yep.
and
Yep.
then he's against the death penalty.
Mhm.
I'm technically against the death penalty, but in certain cases, it's necessary.
Right. Exactly.
In
Yep.
certain cases, it's necessary.
Yep. Yeah, exactly though. Yeah, because the verdict with me is still out on that, even though I'm kind of like because one thing that get me is kind of hesitant about it. When I lived in Arizona, it's that's a capital punishment. Texas, Arizona. There's I think Florida has it as well too, even though have they really enacted it? Depending on the crime, I believe it is. But yeah, I'm familiar with that. But the thing about it is mistaken identity. I really
Well,
got a lot of
now
DNA
now
stuff. Yeah, yeah,
now my perspective on it is this. Okay,
Okay.
you kill one person, to me, that's
Mhm.
not heinous enough.
Yeah.
If there's enough evidence to choke a donkey, and you basically, like, let's just say I kidnapped somebody and tortured them and did all kinds of crazy stuff before
Right.
I did the deed, and then dismemberment and all of that stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
deserve to die then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
especially if there's enough evidence to choke a donkey to tie me to the kidnap, bondage, and everything else. Or if
Right.
I go out and just decide to whack a bunch of people at the same time, or
Mhm.
I decide to do like the DC shooters back in the day. Now if any of that, that's heinous enough for me to say. But if like, okay, Sam Tookie Williams, for example, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. Know who he is.
he
Yep.
he basically murdered somebody when robbing a store.
Yep.
I'll be less inclined to do death penalty with him. I'll be less inclined.
Yeah, he
But
practically turned his whole life around in prison, but it was Arnold Schwarzenegger that denied his plea for him in
clemency,
his
yeah,
execution. Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. But yeah. But I mean, still, the way I look at it,
Mhm.
okay, the modus operandi for his murder was theft. Okay,
Yeah.
you already have him. You already have him in custody. Has he murdered while in prison? No. Will he be in the position to rob someone? No. His
Right.
only locus for murder was robbery.
Right. Right.
So you already disabled his murderous tendencies. So therefore, it's kind of redundant to do it. You know.
Right.
But the simple fact is, I also understand the very pro death penalty people. They say, well,
Mhm.
it's cheaper to get rid of him rather than it's cheaper to get rid of him rather than house him for whatever time period. Like,
Right.
true, that is true. But here's the problem with your argument. They have infinite amount of appeal time, and all you're doing is just prolonging the thing, and then you'll end up breaking even.
Yep.
So effectively, you disabled him. He's
Yep.
not, you incapacitated him. He
Mhm.
basically has no locus for murder unless he starts murdering people in prison.
Mhm.
Then really, you're really just doing it to feed bloodlust.
Right. Exactly.
You know, but
Yep.
if the person did some particularly heinous stuff,
Mhm.
and you can absolutely prove that it was them, and you can absolutely prove that what they did is what they did, then
Right.
by all means, yeah, this he's irredeemable.
Yep. Yep. All right. So yeah, man, I appreciate it. So this is Omega once again, ladies and gentlemen, breaking the hard, cold facts on a lot of this stuff here. We'd like to give a shout out again to Joe Mama, not Joe Mama, but Joe Mama, as well as Howard, though. So yeah, we all in here on the same team, as I would say. But yeah, I appreciate y'all all showing up. I got to get out here for real and things. Let me see here. Joe Mama says, "Oh yeah, I know, Joe Mama." Oh yeah, hold on for a minute. I'm looking at it. You see what Joe Mama said? Let me go ahead and post that. Here it is. Joe Mama says, "Tony, gold is at what? 4,400, $50. Look at that. Silver is at $69.50. You're gonna be a ad. Okay, gonna be an ad at me, right? Right. But I ain't been scrapping Bitcoin and done well. Man, that is what is up though, Joe Mama. I heard a little bit about silver hitting 70. We can be able to, we can expect to see this thing, Joe Mama, Omega. We can see this thing going about $100 an ounce. Silver. Wow, man.
But
Yeah.
you got to
Mhm.
remember,
Mhm.
that's not the price of that going up; it's the value of the dollar going down.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. It's the price of that, and I say that a lot though too. You're absolutely right, because the dollar is being devaluated. The Federal Reserve is in trouble. What they don't tell people, we all know in this room, for the most part of it, that the Federal Reserve is on the verge of being bankrupt, and Trump is purposely bankrupting them. Right. So with the devaluation of the dollar, their fractional banking that they've been doing. It's just it's a what we call a hoax or a scam, worse than a Ponzi scheme, right? So talking about Bernie Madoff, what they made off, all right. Yeah, so see what Joe Mama typed over here. But yeah, but other than that, man, I mean get up on out of here, man. We brought the man, I love talking about precious metals and the Federal Reserve. Y'all know that, you know. You know I love talking about it. But yeah, so we're gonna be on tomorrow, same time, same bat channel.
All right. You have a good night then.
All right, you too. Make a drive safe out there. Be careful. I know you already got your little something on you as well, like I do, because you know it's my blue. What we call it? We call
the
it
American Express card.
There we go. I always love to hear that. I'd be like, people say,
Never
"What?
leave home without it."
Never leave home without it, though, man. That's for sure. But I appreciate you guys, though, and I'll see y'all all tomorrow. And everybody else, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Look like I'm being shadow banned again, man. Not the first time, but it's all good. All right, you guys take care, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.